Someone asked that. I love my boyfriend very much, but I know that this relationship is haram, but I can't live. What would you say to someone who says that?
You want to hold hands? Go ahead. Hug her. Islam doesn't say don't love. Islam says get married first, then love freely.
How can I find the right spouse?
So it's a big risk, a big decision. I will tell two things to minimize the risk of divorce. Don't keep the process too short. Second point,
I want my children to perform prayer. How can we encourage them?
if you want your child to pray, then pray. Because in the end, actions speak louder than the words. Imagine a man smoking cigarette while telling his son, you shouldn't smoke. Will this child take this advice seriously? A famous scholar, he says that if truths of belief are not introduced early, placing them into the heart later becomes incredibly difficult. Assalamu alaikum, brothers, sisters. I am Fatih.
I am Sevgi.
So Sevgi is going to ask me some questions. These questions are gathered from social media and I'm going to answer these questions and I hope you benefit from it. Let's start. What is the first question?
Okay, the first question is, how can I find the right spouse?
You're choosing someone to live with for 60 years in the same house, so it's a big risk, a big decision. If I told you to live with your best friend for 6 years in the same house, you can't do it. It's not easy to live together. If people marry to the wrong person and they get divorced at their 50s, they probably don't remarry. They live the last 20 years of their lives in a home all alone. So this sounds sad. I will tell two things to minimize the risk of divorce. First mistake is rushed marriage. Don't rush into marriage in 3 weeks. I know that you're saying, oh, we are crazy in love, we're ready to go, we're all set. No, that's not right. Don't keep it short, but also don't drag it out too long as well. Get to know each other within Islamic boundaries, Islamic limits. Throughout time, you will face some problems. Then people's true personalities come out. You see nothing of those problems when everything is perfect in 3 weeks. So don't keep the process too short. Second point, which I think is the most important one, is that can we have a smooth and engaging conversation? I wouldn't want to spend 60 years in the same house with someone I can't even talk. Being able to talk comfortably and meaningfully is super important, I believe. And I did some research when I got married. All the marriage counselors, experts who wants to minimize this risk of divorce, they advise the same thing. To have life goals aligned with each other. Like, you're a religious person, very conservative, but the other person is not on the same page. Here, there are no common life goals. When a challenge comes, things can fall apart. Of course, there might be differences in small things, but core beliefs, they should be the same. Because whenever you have a problem, you have an aim. You continue. If you come to home late, for example, I'm coming home at 2 a.m. and it's not a problem for you because we have the same aim. We want to spread the message of Islam. We want to change the world. By the way, you might ask why Sevgi is not speaking, you're always speaking. Sevgi is a new learner of English. Do you understand me, right?
Yes, but a little.
Some words. Inshallah, in 1 year or 2 years, I am going to be asking the questions and you are going to answer the questions, inshallah.
Inshallah.
Okay. MashaAllah.
Okay, the next one is, I love my boyfriend very much, but I know that this relationship is haram, but I can't live. What would you say to someone who says that?
I have nothing against love when it's done in the halal way. But when it crosses into haram, like holding hands, chatting in an appropriate way, or hugging before marriage, it becomes a contradiction. If I truly care about you, worry when you're sick, and want the best for you, why would I knowingly put you in danger for eternity? Think about it. How long will we be together in this world? 40 years? Maybe 50? Why build something on a haram foundation if we claim to want forever? Real love should last beyond this life, right? And to make this happen, we need to stay away from haram. Islam doesn't say don't love or end this relationship. No, it's not like that. Islam says get married first, then love freely. Talk for hours, hug as much as you want. But we act like marriage is impossible. No, it's not. Just be patient, stay within halal boundaries. Otherwise, what do you want to do? You're not married. You want to hold hands, go ahead, chat inappropriately, hug her? You can't do that. If you want to do that, know that you are not helping each other. You're only pulling each other closer to the fire. Is that real love?
I want my children to perform prayer. How can we encourage them? What should we focus on?
The famous scholar Ibn Sina, also known as Avicenna, he once said that if you want to educate your child, words are not powerful, actions are. Let me prove this with a simple question. I want you to quickly answer, okay? What number is this?
2,
How many fingers do I have in one hand?
10,
You see, I asked a simple question, but you gave the wrong answer. Why? Because actions have a powerful effect. Now, let me ask the same question without using my hands. How many fingers do I have in one hand?
5.
5. This shows how much our actions influence others. If we want our children to be pious, we must be mindful of our own actions. Imagine a man smoking cigarette while telling his son, "Son, you shouldn't smoke." Will this child take this advice seriously? No. He will think that my father says smoking is bad, but he does it himself, so it must be enjoyable and I can do it too. You see, if you want your child to pray, then pray. If you want them to wake up for tahajjud, then wake up for tahajjud. If you don't want them to watch haram content, then be mindful of what you watch. Because in the end, actions speak louder than the words.
So, what do you think about our daughter Maryam?
I'm trying to give my message of Islam to her by my actions. Of course, we're not perfect, we have some faults, but I want to give the message with my actions rather than my words.
Hazreti Muhammed Mekke'deymiş. Burası neresi Meryem? Bir bakalım.
Kabe.
Peygamber Efendimiz yatağındaymış Meryem. Sonra kim gelmiş biliyor musun? Peygamber Efendimiz Aleyhisselatü Vesselam'ın yanında bir Burak denilen bir at. Efendimiz Hazreti Muhammed bu ata binmiş. Siloks.
Burada bırak görünmüyor mu?
Burada gözükmüyor. O zaman varmış. Burak'ın üstüne binmiş. Burak uçmaya başlamış. Mescid-i Aksa'ya, Kudüs'e yani.
For example, yesterday we went to Tarawih with Maryam, but the environment at the masjid was not a good place for her to play because she doesn't pray with me when I was praying Tarawih. It's a long prayer. I was planning to pray 20 rakahs, but I see the environment, we didn't have a space for her to play because it was so crowded. So I thought to myself that, okay, I'm gonna pray 8 rakahs at the masjid and complete my prayer at my house. So when I completed 8 rakahs, I checked Maryam and I thought that she was starting to get bored. So I took Maryam and took her to my house and I just prayed 8 rakats of Tarawih and then witr. When I came home, I was planning to complete the 20 rakats, and this is an example of my education to her. I don't want Maryam to think that masjid is a boring place. I got bored there. No, she shouldn't have any idea like this. She should always think that masjids are very enjoyable. I like those kind of environments and I want to be in the masjid. I like masjid. Just for that reason, I didn't complete the Tarawih prayer at the masjid. So this was just an example. Secondly, the environment that we are raising Maryam is beautiful. It's a madrasa, 4 or 5 hours a day. She's in a madrasa, but this is not a boring madrasa. There are a lot of sisters around her and nobody is saying anything about religion to her. Actions are speaking in the madrasa. Nobody says to Maryam that, Maryam, why didn't you pray? Maryam, you should recite Quran. Nobody says anything to her. But when Maryam looks around her, she sees that sisters around her, they pray, they perform their salah, they recite Quran, a lot of things around her. So Maryam starts to think that I am going to be like these sisters who are pious, who are religious. These ideas are planting in her mind. This is just like Avicenna says, actions speak louder than the words.
As the Eternal Passenger Women Volunteer Team, with your help, we have already inspired many people to embrace Islam, wear hijab, and start praying. You can support this effort by clicking the Super Thanks button or donating to our Patreon to change even more lives, inshallah, because we believe that changing one woman's life can shape the future of an entire generation.
You're isolating your daughter in a bubble, but what will happen when she steps out of it?
Okay, I understand that viewpoint. Think about it. When you are the first one to plant an idea in your child's mind, you gain a huge advantage. For instance, if I tell my child that Kudüs belongs to Muslims or Selahaddin Eyyubi was a hero, I have already placed the initial concept in her mind. Anyone who wants to convince them otherwise, they will need to put in significant effort to uproot these deeply set beliefs. Typically, whoever sets the initial concept has a 90% advantage. Yes, eventually your child will step into the real world, maybe at 13 years old, maybe 15 years old, whatever age that might be, but they will leave the house with the foundation and values you have established. These influences will need to work very hard to undo those initial ideas. Bediüzzaman Said Nursi, a famous scholar, he highlights something about child education. He says that if truths of belief are not introduced early, placing them into the heart later becomes incredibly difficult. It's precisely this reason why early education and setting foundational beliefs are so crucial. So, it's not about isolating your child in a bubble, it's about giving them a strong foundation before they get into the life.
People get married without seeing each other. Is this related to Islam?
Yeah, some people get married without knowing or even seeing each other, right? Your grandparents might have stories like that. Imagine not seeing your wife until the moment of marriage, or even after the wedding. There are some cases like that. It's a complete surprise. But here's the thing, some practices come from Islam, but some practices are coming from culture. When you see such examples, don't assume that, oh, they're Muslim and they did this, so Islam must require it. No, some things are just cultural traditions, not Islamic teachings. There are a lot of things like that. There's actually a hadith about this. One of the Prophet's companions, Mughire bin Shube, told the Prophet ﷺ that he wanted to marry a woman. The Prophet ﷺ asked, have you seen her? Go and look at her, because seeing her will help you develop love and connection in your marriage. Of course, you can see the person you want to marry, and of course, you can talk to them. But you just need to do it within Islamic guidelines and halal boundaries. If you have any questions that you want it to be answered in this video concept, you can make comments and ask those questions in the comment section, inshallah.